Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting here, but this story's been burning a hole in my chest for over a year now, and I finally need to let it out somewhere. This is a long one, but I promise there's revenge, money, betrayal, and a lot of lessons in it. Names have been changed, obviously. I met Lisa back in college. She was stunning, the kind of girl that made you double take when she laughed. Charismatic, fiery, ambitious. The type of person who walks into a room and somehow owns it. I was the shy tech nerd with big dreams and zero swagger. She was way out of my league, but somehow we clicked. I thought it was real. Everyone did. We got married when I was 28 and she was 26. At the time, I was building my third startup. 2 had already failed. And she was working in corporate PR. Money was tight, stress was high, but we made it work. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I see the red flags. She always insisted on keeping finances separate, even though we were married. Said it gave her freedom and security. I respected it. She earned her keep, and I didn't want to be controlling. But little things started to change 2 years ago. She started working late. A lot. Like a lot. Weekend client dinners that weren't on her calendar. Suddenly very secretive with her phone. She used to leave it charging on the counter. Now it was always face down, password changed, on silent. She also started criticizing me more. My clothes, my hair, my car, even my laugh. I used to be brilliant and driven. Now I was just another guy with dreams and no execution. She didn't know that my startup had just landed a multi-million-dollar investment. I didn't tell her because I wanted to surprise her with something huge. A new house, a vacation, a better life. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. Not until one night. It was a Thursday night. I remember because Lisa had said she was going to a networking event at a new rooftop bar downtown. She dressed up more than usual. Tight black dress, heels that made her legs look lethal, perfume I hadn't smelled in months. I told her she looked amazing. She barely acknowledged it. Something didn't sit right with me. I don't know if it was intuition or just bottled up suspicion, but I decided not to go home after work. Instead, I drove to that rooftop bar, parked 2 blocks away and waited. I didn't want to believe she was lying. Part of me hoped I'd see her with some stuffy old marketing exec and realize I was just being paranoid. But no. About an hour in, I saw her walk out with someone. Laughing. Arm in arm. She kissed him. And it wasn't just someone. It was my best friend, Darren. The guy who helped me build my startup. The guy who came over for beers and game nights. Who was at our wedding. The guy I had just given a 3% equity stake in the company a few weeks earlier as a thank you for sticking through the rough times. I didn't confront them that night. I just sat in my car and watched them walk down the street together. Smiling. Like they hadn't just shoved a dagger between my ribs. I drove home in silence. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just silence. Couldn't sleep that night. I laid there for hours next to her while she slept like a baby. And I made a decision. I wouldn't confront her yet. Not until I knew everything. Because if I was going to burn this house down, I wanted to make sure she was inside when it happened. So I started digging. For the next 2 weeks, I acted completely normal. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings. Made her coffee. Laughed at her stupid TikToks. Slept beside her. I even let her think I was busy with investor meetings, so she wouldn't suspect I was watching her like a hawk. I became a goddamn spy. I installed a tracker on her car, legal in our state if you own the vehicle, and I did. Set up a keylogger on our shared laptop. Not hers, ours, so again legally defensible. Bought a prepaid phone just to communicate with a private investigator I found through a divorce lawyer's Reddit post. The guy was ex-military and didn't ask many questions. He was expensive, but I could afford it. By the end of week 2, I had photos of Lisa and Darren at a hotel 3 different times. Screenshots of messages between them. Cringy stuff like, "You make me feel alive again," and "He doesn't appreciate me like you do." A proof that she'd used our joint savings card, the one we only used for groceries and bills, to buy lingerie and an expensive dinner on the night she said she was at a work offsite. And the cherry on top. I found a burner Instagram account she used to post selfies with Darren. Not public, of course. but she was dumb enough to link it to her main email when registering. Username? At Redwinianleys. Ironic. The PI even got audio of a conversation where she called me a washed-up wannabe entrepreneur who wouldn't be shit without Darren. That one hurt. Not gonna lie. It was like living in a parallel universe. One where your best friend is sleeping with your wife, and everyone else just thinks you're blissfully married. I went through waves of nausea, rage, depression. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to hit Darren. But I didn't, because I had a new plan. A better plan. If they wanted to treat me like an idiot, I'd play the idiot a little longer. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make sure they regretted everything. At this point, I had all the emotional ammo I needed to blow up her life. But nuking everything right then would have just left me with scorched earth, and no justice. I wanted more than closure. I wanted control. Lisa didn't know I was rich. Like, life-changingly rich. Just weeks before I caught her with Darren, my startup signed a deal with a major European conglomerate. We closed a Series B investment round worth over $8. $5 million. After legal fees and stock dilution, I personally walked away with about $2. $2 million, not counting my founder equity, which could easily triple if things scaled. But I never told Lisa. I kept the celebration low-key. Told her the meetings went fine. Played the tired, overworked founder card. Meanwhile, I had my lawyer set up a separate LLC, a new bank account, and rerouted all the funds out of our marital assets. Remember how Lisa was adamant about keeping finances separate? Yeah. That decision came back to bite her in the perfectly toned ass. She had no idea I was now operating from what I called my ghost wallet. So while she was off playing house with Darren in hotel rooms, I hired a second PI to start digging into Darren's finances, employment, and relationship history. Quietly withdrew half from our joint savings and moved it into a trust under my sister's name. I transferred ownership of our shared car to my LLC and leased it back to myself. Tax loophole move. I canceled an expensive trip to Italy she had been planning for us, aka probably her and Darren, and told her we were in a tight spot and needed to budget. She bought it. Hook, line, and Gucci lipstick. She even had the audacity to comfort me one night when I acted stressed. Rubbed my shoulders and whispered that she believed in me. Probably right before texting Darren how pathetic I looked. I smiled through it, because I knew that soon, she'd be the one begging for answers. And I wasn't going to give her any. 3 weeks into the operation, Lisa was still playing the devoted wife act. Morning kisses, dinner selfies, the occasional miss you, babe text during her long meetings. I responded like a good husband, dull enough not to raise suspicion, but engaged enough to keep her from getting paranoid. But I was building the trap. First, I told her I wanted to reevaluate our future plans. I said I was thinking about scaling back the business, maybe even selling my shares and taking time for myself. She didn't even try to hide her disappointment. Her response? Why would you quit now? You haven't even done anything big yet. Nice. That told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't with me because she believed in me. She was waiting for a payday that I had already cashed without her knowing. Meanwhile, I started planting seeds of personal failure. I told her I had missed a key deal, made fake stress calls from my office, even left fake rejection letters from investors printed on my desk, which she snooped through, as expected. I wanted her to think I was slowly becoming a sinking ship and give her every reason to jump. She bit hard. 2 days later, I found a deleted message in her keylog chat with Darren. Lisa, I think he's gonna fold soon. He's not the guy I married. When this tanks, we'll finally be free. Then came the kicker. Darren. Then we can go public. No more sneaking around. You deserve better. Go public. That was when I knew. They were planning to make it official. Probably after she found a clean way to ditch me, take what she could in the divorce, and spin the story to make me look like a washed-up loser. Perfect. Because now I could push them over the edge and make sure they jumped right into the trap. So I started encouraging her to cheat more. I told her she deserved time with friends, pushed her to go on girls' trips, offered to cover her spa weekends. All while I tracked every step she took and made sure every dollar came from our joint accounts, creating a lovely paper trail of waste, abandonment, and marital misconduct. Oh, and one more thing. I offered Darren a fake job. I knew Darren was struggling. The guy had been coasting off freelance gigs, living off credit cards, and low-key mooching off friends, including me, for years. The only reason he ever seemed successful was because of how well he talked, not because he actually delivered anything. So I had my lawyer draft up a fake consulting contract for a shell company under my LLC. It looked real, complete with branding, a burner domain email, and a slick logo I paid a Fiverr designer $30 to create. Then I reached out to Darren personally and said, "Hey, I know things have been rocky with the startup. I'm spinning off a side tech consultancy and I might have a role for someone like you. It'd be $85,000 for 6 months, remote with bonuses if deliverables are met. But I need you full-time. No moonlighting." He replied within an hour. "Bro, this means a lot. I've been looking for a way to reset. I'm all in." I had my lawyer send over the NDA and contract. He signed everything. I even paid him 2 fake upfront consulting checks from a controlled escrow account I set up to look like payroll, just to hook him. He quit one of his side jobs and told people he was finally landing on his feet. Lisa had no idea, or so I thought, because not a week later, I caught a message in her deleted files. "Lisa, he offered me a weekend away, just us. Said he booked a cabin. Are you okay with that? Darren, take it. He's distracted. You deserve a break. I've got his project under control." That's when I realized they were both using me, and they knew it. They thought they had me wrapped around their fingers, that I was too naive or too desperate to see the betrayal unfolding right in front of me. They were laughing at me, so I did the one thing they never expected. I let them go away together. I packed Lisa's bag for her. I even gave her a kiss goodbye on the porch. She said, "Thanks for being so understanding." I smiled. Then I went inside, locked the door, and started phase 2. Lisa was gone for 4 days. A business retreat in the mountains, allegedly. But thanks to the GPS tracker and my PI, I knew exactly where she was. A private Airbnb cabin 2 hours out of town, drinking wine and playing pretend wife to Darren. I spent those 4 days preparing. I met with my lawyer, accountant, and real estate agent. We finalized the sale of the house, yes, our house, which, thanks to my premarital ownership and a rock-solid prenup she had never actually read, was legally mine alone. I just let her live in it all this time because I thought we were building a life together. Surprise. I also moved everything I cared about into a storage unit under my LLC. Anything she had bought, I left. She wanted to play games? Let her keep the board. Then I booked a one-way ticket to Italy. Not because I was running, but because I'd always wanted to see Florence and sip espresso under a Tuscan sun after faking my own emotional death. When she got back on Sunday night, I wasn't home. But she walked into something even better. A half-empty house. Her key no longer worked, and a formal letter on the counter. "Lisa, this house has been sold. Your belongings are still here and will be packed and delivered to your mother's place. I know about everything. You and Darren. The lies. The money. All of it. We'll discuss the terms of your exit formally. Until then, please do not attempt to enter the property. P.S. Check your shared bank account. Sincerely, your washed-up husband." She checked the account. It had $43. 17 left. She called me 17 times. I didn't answer. She sent texts ranging from, "What the actual F *** K? To "We need to talk" to "You're being childish." That last one really made me laugh, considering she was the one playing dress-up in the woods with my best friend. Darren, he called me too. Apparently, he had just been let go from the consulting job I had created. My lawyer sent him a formal contract termination citing fraudulent misrepresentation of skills and failure to meet deliverables. He asked me what the hell was going on. I told him, "This was your deliverable, bro," and I hung up. So, Lisa did what Lisa always does when she loses control. She tried to flip the script. She showed up at my office, uninvited, screaming, crying, performing like her life depended on it. Security wouldn't let her past reception, but I watched the whole thing on the lobby cam. She even brought a printed photo of us from our honeymoon, waving it around like it was a courtroom exhibit. She left me a voicemail that night. I'll never forget it. You're throwing everything away over some misunderstanding. I made a mistake, but you abandoned this marriage. You're just bitter because I found comfort with someone who actually appreciates me. Bold strategy. Blame me for her cheating. She threatened to get a lawyer. Said she'd expose me for emotional neglect and financial abuse. That she'd take half of everything, including the company. I let her sit in that fantasy for about 48 hours. Then my attorney sent her the divorce package. Neatly laid out. Timeline of her infidelity. Screenshots. Bank statements. All the proof I'd collected. A detailed breakdown of how everything she touched was legally separate property. And then came the kill shot. Clause 14b. Due to provable marital misconduct and dissipation of joint funds for extramarital activities, she would receive a negotiated exit settlement of $20,000. A mercy gesture, not a legal obligation. Her response? You set me up. You manipulative, cold bastard. No denial. No apology. Just fury that she'd been outplayed. She tried to run to Darren. Poor Darren. Still unemployed, broke, and now ghosted by every professional contact I had quietly warned about his conduct. He sent me a long email a few days later. Subject line: We need to fix this. I archived it without opening. Lisa, realizing she'd been abandoned by both men in her life, one emotionally, the other strategically, finally cracked. She sent one last message. You ruined my life. No, Lisa, you ruined your own. After the legal dust settled, and Lisa finally signed the divorce agreement, though not without some truly Oscar-worthy tantrums, I felt free. I wasn't celebrating, not yet, but I wasn't broken anymore either. I was just relieved, like stepping off a roller coaster that you didn't realize had no brakes. I moved into a high-rise apartment downtown. Sleek, minimalist, quiet, the kind of place you only see in tech magazines or late-night Zillow scrolling. Every morning, I made espresso, watched the skyline, and reminded myself that peace doesn't have a price. But revenge? That cost me $2. $2 million, and I'd pay it again with a smile. And then, just when I thought the story was over, I got a call from my private investigator. Not about Lisa, about Darren. Thought you'd want to know. The PI said, Your boy Darren? He's been busy. Turns out Darren had done this before. Twice. With other married women. Both times, he'd latched onto women in shaky marriages, played the misunderstood soulmate card, and milked them for money, places to live, and job connections before ghosting. One of the husbands had tried to fight him in court. The other apparently just went off-grid. He was a serial emotional conman. But it gets worse. He had another woman. Not Lisa. Someone else. A bartender. 26. Blonde. And very pregnant. Darren had been sleeping with her while he was with Lisa. My PI had surveillance of them together, holding hands, shopping for baby stuff, even going to prenatal appointments. I don't know if Lisa ever found out. But I'll tell you what I did. I printed out the photos. Slid them into a plain white envelope. No return address. Mailed them to her office. Let her connect the dots herself. Petty? Sure. But she handed me a loaded gun the day she spat on our marriage and expected me to roll over. And now I was done being polite. After I sent Lisa that envelope, I blocked her everywhere. Phone, email, socials, even her work number all gone. Total blackout. It wasn't about revenge anymore. I had already won that game. This was about control. About reclaiming the piece of me that used to need her validation, her approval, her affection. That piece was dead. Or at least asleep long enough for me to build a new life around it. But apparently, silence was the one thing Lisa couldn't handle. About 2 weeks later, my sister, who was the emergency contact listed on my company's paperwork, called me laughing so hard she was in tears. She showed up at my house, dude, she said. Tried to cry her way in. Told me she was losing everything and that you were being cruel. I told her you were on a yacht somewhere with someone who didn't cheat on you. Side note, I wasn't. I was literally watching Netflix in sweatpants eating leftover Thai food. But I loved the idea. After that embarrassment, Lisa stopped trying. Or at least she stopped being seen trying. Darren, I later heard, moved out of state. Apparently left the pregnant bartender too. Class act all the way. The weirdest part was how fast everything quieted down. Like, they were erased. No more angry texts. No more voicemail storms. Just nothing. My phone stopped buzzing. My mind stopped racing. And in that silence, I started to rebuild. I reconnected with people I'd neglected during my marriage, old friends, family, mentors, told a few of them the whole story. Most were shocked, but no one defended her. Not even her own cousin, who just shook her head and said, I always thought she treated you more like an accessory than a partner. That one stung more than it should have. But it helped. Because that's when I realized I wasn't healing from losing Lisa. I was healing from who I had to become just to survive being with her. So what did I learn from all this? First, money doesn't fix trust. It doesn't buy loyalty. And it definitely doesn't guarantee love. I had all the wealth in the world, but I was bankrupt emotionally because the person I thought was my partner was plotting with my best friend. Second, people reveal their true selves when it's convenient. Lisa was a master at pretending, lying, and manipulating, but only because I let her. I ignored my gut for years because I wanted to believe in us. Don't make that mistake. If you feel like something's off, it probably is. Third, revenge feels good for a moment, but freedom feels better. Sure, I could have exploded the whole thing immediately, but the quiet, methodical way I handled it, that was power. That was control. And in the end, it gave me peace of mind I couldn't have gotten with a shouting match. Finally, self-worth isn't negotiable. No matter how much someone else tries to tear you down, your value doesn't change. It's on you to recognize your worth and never let anyone treat you like a backup plan or a charity case. I'm not going to lie, the divorce was ugly. The aftermath was exhausting. But the biggest victory was reclaiming my life on my terms. Today, I'm focused on growing my business, traveling, and surrounding myself with people who genuinely care. And yeah, I'm still a little bitter. But bitterness isn't my fuel anymore. It's just a reminder of how far I've come. If you're reading this and going through something similar, here's what I want you to know. 1. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. Small suspicions often lead to bigger truths. 2. Gather evidence carefully. Whether for your own peace of mind or legal reasons, having proof can be your shield and your sword. 3. Don't rush decisions. Emotional explosions are tempting, but sometimes slow, quiet moves win the war. 4. Protect your financial independence. No matter how much you love someone, keep a safety net. Separate accounts, independent savings. These aren't signs of distrust. They're signs of self-respect. 5. Seek support. Whether it's friends, family, or a professional, you don't have to carry this alone. Isolation is the enemy. 6. Prioritize self-care. This stuff is brutal emotionally. Don't neglect your health, sleep, and mental well-being. 7. Remember your worth. Cheating or betrayal isn't a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their character. Most importantly, don't lose yourself trying to keep someone who's already checked out. I'm here to say it gets better. You will rebuild. And you will thrive. Looking back, I'm grateful for the wake-up call. Even if it came wrapped in betrayal and heartbreak, I learned that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's the quiet decision to walk away with dignity, to rebuild what was broken, and to trust yourself again. Lisa and Darren taught me hard lessons about trust, loyalty, and self-respect. But I refuse to let their choices define my future. I'm sharing my story here because maybe someone else needs to hear it. That even when you feel crushed, even when your world flips upside down, you can come back stronger. You can outsmart pain with patience. You can reclaim your power without losing your humanity. So if you're sitting there, heartbroken and angry, wondering if you'll ever get past it, trust me, you will. And when you do, you might just find out that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's living well. Thanks for reading.